Can you hear me? Yeah, cool. Here we go. Thank you everybody for joining. 52 people, amazing. It's still me. Well, it was Chris last week, but it's going to be me emceeing because nobody from the community has stepped up and said, I want to MC this community call, but I'm sure someone will by next week. So the agenda for today is actually there's been a new item added. And so we're going to start with this new item, which is to do with the new site. So I'll hand over to Ward and Pablo to talk about this. Maybe not both at the same time, but yeah.
Hi, Ward. I prefer the presentation. I have the presentation ready. Do you want me to share a little bit the latest?
Go ahead.
All right, although this will be short. So there was some talk on Discord about, hey, now that the event is a go, should we use the new site? And I want to share what we have so far. It's not a simple decision, and I'm just going to share a little bit why it could make sense and why not, and what are the terms that we got. So are you able to see my presentation? I guess yes.
Yep.
Good. So remember, this is the last site. If you haven't seen it, there's some channel and information about it. It's cool. It's potentially much bigger than what we have. It's very close to the previous one. Ward had a plan of 3 phases of how we could use that. So this part here, the part in the yellow area, is flat-ish and is the part that we can use. He proposed something like phase 1. And for reference, this is current nowhere. This is the size, the actual size of the current nowhere. And this is the new site we have. So it would be bigger in the proposed phase 1. In phase 2, he's moving out things like parking. These are kind of the burial space and lightning rods and so on. And it could become even bigger. Now, what we are wondering for this year is, obviously the simplest is to use the site that many of us are familiar with. If we don't use that site, another option could be to use the new site and rent it. So I have asked the owners, and the owners would be willing to rent, not everything, but this part here. So kind of 60% of it to us for 10,000 euros, which is less than we pay for the current site, if I remember correctly. But we would have to buy some lightning rods, which we don't have at the moment. We would have to flatten the land, which we do anyways, and it's not a big cost. And we would need to build a road, which is also not a big cost. However, this has many consequences for things like city planning, barrios, power, because they would need to adapt to a new site. So it's not something that I feel like we can decide without talking about it. So the suggestion was that there will be a meta leads meeting. I don't know if we want to also have that open or how. I think meta leads and barriers was proposed. So we will be proposing a meeting, unless anybody has some questions that we want to answer now, to discuss whether this makes sense. The timeline is short, but there's some pros and cons, and we can talk about it. I think the general feeling is that we stay with the current plan, but it's worth considering this in case it suddenly makes a lot of sense. So that's the update.
Well, I want to add, the reason why we moved this forward is that we could just came out of a meeting where the legal risk of the audit is at medium level. But so if we want to act now, we should, because we have everything in place to make the change, and we still have time to install all this, and the local authorities are aware of this, but we should act fast.
Yeah, basically we have the permit pre-checked. We know the requirements that it would take, so it has become an option. And if we want to use it, I think we should talk about it and see how excited we are or how much work it is, and if we want to wait until next year. If it's not now, I think we could do a smaller event in September, maybe winter or March, whatever. Like, it doesn't need to be now. It's just something to consider.
Cool. I think we can take if there's any quick questions before we move to the next one. But if not, we can move to the next item.
Let's move on.
And questions can come later, obviously, or on chats and so on. Okay, doesn't appear to be more questions right now. So let's move to the next item, which is, hold on, where is it? There you go. Asset procurement update. Pepe, yeah, you're here. Could you give us an asset procurement update?
Yes, very happy to give you an update. We've had a very productive week in the asset procurement. We had very successful conversations with GNSL. We are now directly in touch with their lawyers. Unfortunately, we couldn't have tacos with Paloma. That is very sad, but hopefully we will be able to have tacos with her another time. Allow me to put my legal hat. I forget, I need to do this when I'm talking business. And yes, we are looking at a meeting next Monday, and hopefully we can close the final tweaks to move the containers, which is the most important asset to start working on production. So kudos to Paloma and Erin for facilitating this and being super, super helpful on the process. That is the update. I will keep you updated on any new assets as we start working on the different pieces of what we need. Questions?
Here's a question from João.
Bom dia.
Yeah. Bom dia. So, just to be clear, what's the general state of like the transfer of assets? Like, it's likely going to happen. It's just a matter of dealing with bureaucracy. Are there decisions that still need to be taken? Like, as in, what are the dependencies that are going to determine whether this event is going to be able to use the containers? Let's start with containers.
Yes, so right now it's a matter of drafting the actual paperwork that describe exactly what is moving and how it's moving. So one of the, we can say limitations, or not limitation, one of the challenges that we are working around is an actual inventory. Do we actually know exactly what is in each of these containers? Usually lawyers are very stiff about it and they want to see a full-on breakdown. So we're trying to work around it, figure out what is the best way to make a transfer that also does not create risk for either side, where in the case something is lost, something is damaged, there is no loophole. So we're trying to work around how do we document this in a good way, and that makes everyone comfortable. Of course, if everyone is happy to say, hey, this is what we know is in the container, and we are happy to sign that says that if there's anything else, we account it as if it doesn't exist, so we will not claim it later. That will simplify the process. We will need to do that for each of the containers. If not, we are trying to figure out what language makes a good, comprehensive enough, but not crazy. Let's go and open the containers and do an inventory of how many napkins, dirty napkins, and dirty thongs are in there mixed up with electronics.
Right. So, but besides these technicalities and some bureaucracy, GNSL agrees, like, in what's being negotiated is a sale of the containers to the association, is like some kind of renting of.
So as of right now, the document we have on the table is a license. So we will be licensing, aka renting the container for a period of 12 months, and that'll give us enough room to have the event and to set it back and figure out exactly, once everything is the risk, how we do a proper transfer of everything that is in there, which is a bunch of different things and that legally belong to GNSL, although yes, we know technically and informally belongs to the community, but because everything needs to have a legal owner, belongs to GNSL. And we are exploring a couple alternatives on what we can do there, and if there's a way that we can expedite a transfer without creating unnecessary risk or without creating any tax implications for either of the sides or some liability implications because it's a bunch of things in the middle of nowhere. But we are very hopeful that by Monday 2 p.m., we have this meeting with GNSL's lawyers. We'll be in a very good shape to say this contract is almost final, and let's just figure out how to do the inventory. And if we come up with a different strategy, it might take a week or two.
Awesome.
Yes, that's it.
So essentially, the NCA is going to be renting the containers from the GNSL for a year, and then hopefully in between this year and the next, there's a negotiation for a permanent transfer or something like that.
Correct.
That's it. Okay.
That is the plan.
And what about the digital assets, like namely the name of the event, the web page, domain, and etc. Is there a conversation about this happening right now, or?
Yeah, so there's a conversation happening about all of the assets in parallel. We are prioritizing the ones that are more critical for execution, operational delivery. The name, it's one of the things that we are putting on hold for now. As you saw, there was a survey about the new name. How do we go live so we don't have to wait here? One of the things that we are trying to avoid, of course, is we don't want anyone getting confused that we are the same company and the same festival, and then we have we inherit some of these problems that they had the years before, and the name seems to be one of the most complicated ones. So is there a possibility that we take the name later and we bring it back, mix match it, or do something? Maybe, but right now the name we're putting on the site. We're looking for a new name, having this contest, exciting contest that Shona is launching, where we will be having drawings and all sorts of fun, cool things. There is a survey on your emails, as Ben is mentioning. There are, I believe, 26 options that we have there. So please go and vote and use your democracy to choose a cool name. There's a couple of really cool ones that I didn't know about. About other assets, databases. This chat is on fire. Woo! My goodness, 295. Digital assets such as databases of documents is something that we're looking into also. What are the documents that we actually need that are know-how, operational know-how, that are separated from personal data? As some of you may know, personal data is now more guarded than oil in reserves because it's a very sensitive thing according to European regulations, particularly GDPR. So we are trying to move this at an organic level for now. We are making adjustments to the communication channels. We are asking everyone to get involved and to talk to their friends so we can have the outreach that we need as we're trying to collect all of these databases, and we can do a simplified outreach. But while we get there, we will need the support of the barrios. We will need the support of supporters, members, attendees that are within your network. But yes, that asset is also under negotiation. We'll touch it lightly at the end of our meeting on Monday. And the other item that we have is the IP assets, which are some pictures which have questionable ownership, who took the picture, who owns it. Also a bit hard to move it, but yeah, we'll try to break it down. And there's thousands of files, trying to do a short list of what we need to go live. If any of you have a specific request, there is a document, a set of documents, a folder of things that you know you really need. Let us know, and that's something that we can try to carve out while we filter out. I believe that it is 2,500 files that are on the drive, on the existing drive, so it's also a bit cumbersome to figure out which ones are useful, which ones are digital junk, and which ones are contaminated by people. Yeah, 25,000 by people's name, ID, email, playa name, and so on.
So essentially, the containers are being negotiated and is on track for the NCA kind of being able to use them for this year under some legal stipulation. The name is like, this event is going to run with a different name. That is essentially decided. And, and then personal data of like the newsletter database and all that, still gray area, likely no for this year.
That's correct.
Website, also a no for this year at least.
Website becomes irrelevant if the name is different.
Well, because a lot of people go to that website, right? So it's just, if there was a way to direct people from that website to wherever else, that would be, I think, sufficient at least, right? Like we don't need the ownership. I would say that for the event to run, we wouldn't necessarily need ownership over the website, but a way to direct people from there, or at least say, hey, we are not running the event, but there's some other people running another event that you might want to check that's over there. I think that would be great.
Yes. So we are not looking at acquiring or transferring the website per se for this reason. Same for the domain, for the emails and whatnot. We are looking into what is the way that we can make an outreach push from their accounts and what does that look like. So far, to match expectations of everyone, probably the best we can get away with is them saying, hey, there are these guys that are really cool, go and check them out. That's something that we could get away with. It's something that we are negotiating, but nothing along the lines of, hey, these guys are, we're not doing the event, but these guys will be doing it, or go to this party in the desert, an unnamed party in the desert. But at least we are trying to figure out how to get there. That again, it's in earlier phase, but the critical priority, which is the
containers.
Physical asset containers, it's almost closed.
Awesome. And I think that's great news, Ray. Like, I understand it's not signed, but it's on track. Awesome. Thanks for the update, Pepe.
Anytime, my man, anytime.
I think most of the questions in the chat are about the new sites rather than about Pepe's update.
Perfect.
So we'll park them for later. And there's actually, you also have the next agenda point, which is the, what's it called? It's the e-legal readiness update. I don't know if you've already covered this, but.
Yeah. So I think the most important item of the illegal readiness update is the transfer of assets, the container. A couple of lateral items. As some of you know, we're working on building the legal infrastructure for it's illegal. Yeah, you know, this is my Mexican accent. Illegal. We are working on building the infrastructure, very solid infrastructure for NCA. A couple of the work streams that we are working on are intellectual property. We're trying to have very clear guidelines and instructions on how do we keep track of what we own in terms of anything from pictures to collaborations to art. And we'll have a clear framework to share in the next probably 2 or 3 weeks. GDPR, we now have an appointed data protection officer, which you're looking at with this beautiful hat. I am responsible for any queries around the use and the management of your personal data and all of the personal data of any person that comes in touch with NCA and whatever event we throw in the desert, the forest, or a lake. And the final one is that we are also working on all of the contractual arrangements, refinings that we will use as part of the ticketing system. What are the things that people need to sign or agree to before they commit to go into the crazy adventure in the desert with us, to build all of the rail guards and the invisible hand that makes sure that this thing can outlive whatever happens in there, that no one will ever know because it's a different galaxy. So those are some of the work streams. I will prepare a more detailed breakdown of what we're working on with clear timelines for the next 3 to 6 months that I will share on the next call. And I will bring it back to Pablo and the land, which is an exciting update.
I don't know if there's a new update, like there's not a second point from Pablo and the lands.
No, but there's a bunch of questions for him, I think.
Oh.
Well, I can reply those briefly if it helps. Basically, a lot of people, maybe I can also expand, people have shared with me concerns that if they're a barrier, they need to rebuild major parts of the power system if there's a new site. Build people are concerned that, you know, we have a lot of experience, but not with this site. So there will be a lot of evaluation, maybe extra visits. So we can still discuss that in the meeting, and maybe the conclusion, I think very likely the conclusion is that we shouldn't use it now, but we could maybe we could decide when we want to use it and start to keep these things in mind, because maybe when we plan something for this year or when we buy equipment, maybe that equipment can be acquired or prepared with the next site in mind. So just a thought. And yeah, I think it needs this whole meeting to hear everybody out.
Okay. And there's a question for Pepe there. For these legal issues, do barrios need to get all members to sign up on the Nobodies site with names and contact info?
Yes.
Well, no, I don't think so. Like only if they collaborate, they want to be collaborators or members. But they need to sign up. They need to put their. It would be helpful to put their email in the mailing list to hear about tickets. But for the collaborator, like the Humans app, for example, only people who want to be collaborators or members need to sign up to that.
Members. So yes, that's a distinction between the member of the barrio and members of the association. So for members of the association, yes, you need to sign up on the site. For members of the barrios, no. We will just need basic contact. Yes, exactly. No need to hurt stray cats, which I understand it's a challenge.
Yeah. By the way, there is an FAQ. Thanks, Joao, for pushing for that, and someone else who pushed for that in the Discord, explaining the difference between members, collaborators, and volunteers in some detail on the FAQ. If it's not clear, please get in touch, and we can update the FAQ to be clearer. But hopefully, it clarifies the tiers and what they mean. Okay, so if there's no more legal questions, let's
take off the legal hats.
Right, yeah, please do. Then it's a very nice hat though. Let's change gears a bit and move to changing gears from assessment to pre-production from Daniela.
Hello. Yeah, so my message is very quick, but it's also very symbolic. I think we've been talking about so many assessments on different areas about the event, and now that we have decided to go forward, we are basically changing the gears. We need to enter the pre-production mode, which means that all the people involved, all the leads and people that want to be more involved and be leads can join and help us get this started. Things will be more defined from now on. We will start getting things ready. And yeah, so basically it's just a call for everyone to kind of like wake up and get your groove on. Talk to us if you want to help, and let's get ready to work. That on production. And on tickets, quickly.
That is the next agenda item. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, on tickets, basically, that's our main priority, of course, at the moment, and we are getting ready to launch that. We're aiming for next week, so be very aware of your mailing box and messages and everything to let everybody know and get your tickets early if you can.
Which is pretty awesome. Very exciting, I hope. We can't answer, I think, how many tickets will be released right now, but we will know that by the time we release the tickets. Joao, you have a question, and then we'll go for Julian's question.
One thing, I just saw a message going around today that Borderland is going to sell another batch of tickets from March 10th. So if somehow we are able to release our tickets or some concrete information that tickets are going, like the event is happening, tickets are either already being sold or going to be able to be sold at whatever date, I think that might be critical for us, because date of Borderland this year are very close to nowhere. I think it's just 2 weeks difference, which in other years I think is like 3 weeks. So, and particularly with all the uncertainty around whether the event was going to be happening or not, we might lose some critical people that are often leads in bios or involved in other situations that might be critical. So yeah, just want to bring up.
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, there is no doubt whether the event is happening. We are having an event. We're going to be selling tickets, so there should not be doubts about that at this point. We've released the statement. Ben posted on the updates and is being spread by Shona like a full statement. We released a statement on Monday after the go-no-go vote, and we've released a full statement, which will be the next agenda point to discuss. I want to take some of the other questions. So how many tickets will be released? Like that will be answered by next week. What can we help to do to help with ticket sales? My sense of this is always like, if you know people who would be interested in this event and are the kind of people who, once they know about this event, will come back and check and buy tickets and so on, then you can tell them now. If you know people who would be interested in this event, but they're the kind of people where you send it to them once, and if they can't buy a ticket right away, they just lose interest and they forget about it for 6 months, then wait until the tickets are available, which is going to be very soon. You know the people that you know how they're best approached, but effectively, because we don't have access to any massive mailing lists of people, we are relying on the informal networks of this community to be able to reach people. And we'll be doing our best to maximize this, and the comms team will be doing some fun stuff to do that. But how you can help is tell people, and tell them at the right time, depending on what kind of person they are. Are there any thoughts about a deadline for ticket sales, like in previous years, so that numbers are a bit predictable? I don't quite understand the question. I don't know, Daniela, do you understand that question?
I could say what I meant, because I asked it.
Please.
Yeah, because I think it was maybe last year, tickets for sales were slow. And then instead of just waiting until the end and not knowing how many people are coming until the week before, I think there was a deadline that we're going to be cut. So we'd say, okay, it's going to be like 2,000. We're going to cap it at this amount and give a deadline. Was that last year?
Right. So then the answer is we the very political answer is we reserve the right to use any tools at our disposal to manage the event responsibly. As in, if that tool makes sense, then we might use it. If it doesn't make sense, then we won't use it. We can't decide that right now. There's too much uncertainty right now, but we will do what we need to make sure the event is successful and responsibly held, and doesn't make a loss and all these kind of things. So there's a bunch of factors we're considering, and that might be one of the tools that we use. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was also just kind of commenting that it's probably a thing that should be on people's radars when ticket sales could be slow, that it's a good thing to keep in mind that maybe want to already start thinking about deadlining them and doing stuff to incentivize buying early.
Yeah, and I think that's, I guess, Joel's question. Curious creatures. Can we have a tier ticket system price, even if it's a few euros, to incentivize people to buy early? Probably. Like we've been talking about that quite a bit. We haven't made the decision yet, but there's probably going to be some kind of incentive for buying early. But the decision is not made yet, so don't hold me to it just yet. Somebody had their hand raised, but they seem to have lowered their hand. Looking at questions. It doesn't look like any obvious questions there, just discussion about new site. So let's move to the last point, and then we can take open questions, which is the go, no go, full statements and Q&A. Ben, are you there? I don't know if Ben is here. There's one
I'm
item.
there.
You are there. Okay, you take this one.
The board has released a statement in the past hour or so. It's on Discord. It's in the updates channel. It's a full detailed explanation of our decision to go this year in response to the community vote. I'm not sure what really I can add to that besides just directing you to read the statement. It's a very nice statement, if I don't say so myself.
I think it might be helpful to talk through the key points that you highlighted in bolds there.
Alrighty.
Maybe mention those.
Key points for those who don't want to go and appreciate the beautiful statement. So I think I guess the key thing that we really wanted to communicate with the statement was really that we didn't vote to go lightly, and we didn't do it without really seriously considering the full range of opinions that was expressed throughout the consultation and voting process. So it was really clear to us on the board that obviously that there was a huge diversity of opinions in the community, and that some people had really serious concerns about having an event this year, and so that was clear to everybody, and it is important to everybody that as we move forward with the event, that we are doing our best to take those concerns into consideration, and yeah, not just kind of ignoring all of that and just blindly going ahead with blind optimism. So yeah, there's obviously a number of challenges particular to this year and our current circumstances, and we really see moving ahead at this point as an opportunity to try and address those challenges head on, and really create something new here that actually addresses a lot of the deep concerns that people have about the event, like about burnout and yeah, people getting overcommitted in terms of the amount of effort that they put in, and how we run the organization, and yeah, plenty of concerns. So that was, I guess, the main kind of spirit of the statement.
Yeah, and I will add to this, if you're curious to see what the conversation was like, the board minutes from Monday, we decided to make them more detailed than usual to make it clear, what's the positions and how the conversation went, so you can see how each board member and each person in the meeting reacted to the result of the vote for yourself. Are there any questions about this? This could be the quickest community call ever. Ciao.
Okay, again. So, as you said, the event is happening, which means we are going to try to make an event happen. Is there any situation, because this is part of what people raise this question in the whole consideration of go, no go, so just as an exercise of imagination, can you see anything that would actually prevent the event from happening? While if we sell only 1,000 tickets, 1,500 tickets, or any other catastrophe scenario that would actually prevent the event from happening? Just as in trying to address questions that people might have come up, or just trying to do this mental exercise?
Who wants to take that? Do you want to take it, or should I take that?
I can take part of that, and other board members who want to step in can step in as well. So yes, of course, there are things that can stop the event from happening. The most obvious one being the thing that stopped all events from happening for 2 years, which is some kind of pandemic disaster happens, and or I don't know, world war or some shit like that. Obviously, and one of those is not that unlikely at this point based on current world events. So yeah, things can stop us from happening if our legal advisors, which would be contradictory to what we've heard so far, but if our legal advisors told us that no, it's a terrible idea, you will get, it will be a disaster, etc., everyone will get sued into the ground and stuff, then yeah, of course, we would not put people at risk, either ourselves or our community or so on. Yeah. Well, I don't know, I don't know if you've seen the Garden of Joy during a storm, but some places like to party even when the world is ending. Anyway, I think if we open tickets and we don't reach ticketing milestones to a very large degree, then we might we are working on a refund policy for that, for early ticket buyers. Once we reach certain milestones, we'll be past that. But if somehow we've massively overestimated the interest in having the event, and we find that, oh, actually, we only sell 100 tickets, let's say, then that would be surprising, the 70% people on this call. But if that happens, then that kind of stuff, we will have some triggers for our internal risk management that, okay, it looks like actually no, there's some kind of major issue here. In terms of production-related volunteer issues, I don't have an answer to that. Does someone else on the team want to step in on that? Or Daniela? So the question is like, Joe is asking questions more about production-related volunteer issues. And TK is asking, are the milestones linked to key roles being filled?
What was the last one you said, sorry?
Are the milestones linked to key roles being filled?
Well, now that we're gonna change into pre-production mode, we need to be more decisive with things. So one of the things that we need to decide next week is which type of event we're gonna have. So we work towards that. And then also define what are the specific milestones and points of decisions. We have mapped for different scenarios, but we need to now make them very into the calendars and with numbers. We need to move into that next week.
Anyone else from the board wants to step in?
I guess the only thing I was feeling hearing that was that I think every member of the board has a personal, official stake in ensuring that the association is looked after, basically. And so going ahead with an event when there is a clear and obvious risk that there could be serious consequences in doing so, that's potentially personally impacting everybody on the board. So it's just to say that, I'm speaking for myself personally, but I know it's the same for everybody else on the board as well. We're all very conscious of moving forward responsibly and carefully and with due consideration to the whole range of risks that could emerge, right? That could eventuate. And we all have an interest to do so personally as well, besides even just our passion for the community and the event itself. So yeah, I know, personally speaking, it's top of mind for me to be assured that we're moving forward in a confident and low risk kind of way.
I'll move to the next question regarding burnout from Ellen. Not always easy for motivated noobs to know where and how to jump in to release pressure. Is it imaginable to set something up where overworked people can flag that they need a happy helper, even on a one-to-one basis? At the moment, the ClickUp says all roles are open and critical. This makes it difficult to know how to effectively help relieve pain points. Thoughts? I'll speak a little bit to this, and I think Daniela will also have something to say to this. We are talking about this quite a lot at the moment, and yeah, we want to make it easier for create more transparency about how people can help. One of my formative experiences about doing the build at the garden was realizing that there were even as somebody who was there for the third year or fourth year, I would be in the middle of build. I'm there. I've come early to go and help, and I'm standing around and I don't know how to help. And there's no clarity or information about how I can help. And so I just end up sitting idle and not doing anything, even though there's clearly a lot of stuff that needs to happen, but it's not clear for me how to help. So creating more transparency about how to help, making it really clear, making it easy for people to find that, I think is going to have a huge impact on enabling people to help. And it is top of our, there's a lot of things at the top of our list, but it is high on our list to create more transparency, more clarity about how people can help. And Daniela's ClickUp has been step one of this, but it's not the last step by any means. And Daniela, if you want to say something about this as well.
Yeah, so the list is still in the making. There are a lot of stuff that need to be updated just from this week alone. There are two ways in which the recruitment happens. So one way is a recruitment person or people getting in touch and trying to reach out leads for specific roles that are already designed and needed. And another one is the departments get together and discuss, and they reach to their network and try to also get people for the roles. So right now, what has happened, sorry, I got distracted. There's a lot of messages in the chat. What has happened this past specific week is that a lot of people and teams are getting together. So the first point of contact usually is they reach out to the people they worked with last year, some people that showed interest, and then from there we start like trying to figure out the needs. We today, this afternoon, we had a meeting for the power team, for example, and some of the roles were discussed. Some people took on some things, some people took on others. So those are being defined. And I think next week we will have a clearer picture. Also, the idea for the ClickUp, and we will populate that next week, is for the roles to have a clickable file that you can go and check the description of that role if you're interested and see how you can get in touch. So yeah, a lot of things will be moving quite fast in the upcoming weeks. Our priorities right now are definitely volunteers, leads, tickets, and yeah, and budgets. So right now, those are like the main things in regards to the event, and we're moving full, upfront to that. So a lot of things will start like falling into place in the upcoming weeks.
Thank you, Daniela. Moving on to the next question. TK asks, e.g., if there's no strike lead by X date, what's the plan? To which I want to also include Humberto's response that seems like issues that would stop us from happening are issues that would have stopped us any other year as well. I mean, we don't have a specific list of dates assigned to specific roles of we need this role filled by exactly this date. If there is, if you have awareness that a certain role absolutely needs to be filled by this date, please let us know, and we'll make sure to communicate that and like point the recruitment team at this role and make sure it's filled as a priority. Like strike lead obviously is quite important, but remember, we don't know everything, and if we're not acting on something, it might be because we're not aware of it. So please tell us what information you have about this, and we'll do our best to make sure that problem is solved. Daniela, you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say that there are some things that have been flagged. I had a meeting this week for volunteers coordination. So there's like a lot of the concerns that are there drafted, and we have some things, for example, a meeting to talk about this, and I will reach out to the people tomorrow. I was waiting for this announcements to go out, and then for tomorrow for the name, the voting of the name to close. So we didn't have so many communications and so many things at the same time. But yeah, we will be having plans for this type of stuff.
Next question, can we say in our networks that something like event is happening, which will be named soon, or are we literally not allowed to mention the name? Ideally, don't mention the name. We don't have use of that name, and it belongs to a company, and we are not linked to that company, and we should not be using the name as much as possible. But there will be a new name tomorrow, so you can mention that name. Question from Heiko, is UT coming, is UT coming and or Red Power? There is an answer in FAQ from last week from Javi on the website, so I'm not going to go into detail into this. You can read the fairly detailed answer from Javi, or go and talk to Javi directly. There's a Power channel on Discord to find out the latest news about that. I don't know if Ubertown is coming. They've said they probably won't come. They might change their mind. I don't know, but there are plans to deal with the power grid. Joao is still on our disaster scenarios. Also, our readiness to operate this event at a financial loss. Say we sell 2,000 tickets, but had budgeted for 2,500. So there we are actively talking, speaking kind of on behalf of the conversations that we're having in the board. We are actively talking about how to budget sensibly, given the uncertainty about how many tickets we'll sell. One fairly clear approach is to have tiered expenses, like to have scaling expenses. So instead of committing to expenses as if we know we're going to sell 2,500 or 3,000 or whatever tickets, we have some fixed expenses we know we need to take, and we have some expenses that maybe we can scale depending on the sale of tickets. With careful budgeting, we should be able to minimize the risk of making a loss on the events, basically. It should be possible. So I think if we sell 2,000 tickets instead of 2,500, I don't think we'll make a loss with careful budgeting, basically. If we sell 1,000 tickets and budget for 2,500, but then we probably wouldn't hit our ticketing milestones in some way, and we would know about it much earlier. So then we would still figure out a way to minimize the financial loss. There are ways to manage these kind of risks. Ant mentions that they can't edit the click list thing. If they did, we would have a full department. I'll let Daniela handle this directly with Ant on Discord, probably. What other questions are there? I'm not seeing more questions in the list. Joao, to the rescue.
Yeah, well, so I think to a point that Humberto has also mentioned, and I feel that like a lot of the issues we have brought up are issues that would have affected us every other year. And at that point, someone hearing this conversation might think that the organization of Nowhere in other years was all flowers, which like we know it's not. And last year as well, at least for 1 year or two, I heard before the getting close to the event or before tickets were announced that there was a chance of the event not happening. So I'd like to highlight that like some of these issues that we're facing now and are very public and being dealt very openly have existed in other years, but we just never heard about. So in a way, I'd like to invite everyone to then try to shift mentality from worst case scenarios and disasters into the event is happening and we are like organize this event with a level of transparency and participation that I think is unprecedented. Like I'm pretty sure there were no 70 people discussing the organization of the Nowhere last year on a weekly basis, giving input and with a lot of access to the real situation, which then I think opens the door for this event to be, at least in several ways, better than it's ever been. So while we are, and up until, I don't know, last week, we were considering, can we do this, can we not? And there was a real possibility of the event not happening, like particularly, for example, if we didn't have access to the containers, at best, we will have a very different event. Now, like again, we have the opportunity to like run an event with the same level of production that we had in the past. And maybe some camps are not going to come, maybe there are going to be new camps, but the type of organization, the level of transparency and access that we open to the community, that is, as far as I know, and I'm pretty sure it's the case, unprecedented and Nowhere. And it opens to us the possibility of running an event that can be much better. If the board has also any other things that you see that could make this event better than it has been before, like to counterpoint the disaster scenarios that I was bringing up, I'd love to hear.
So ways that the event could be better than before to counter the disaster scenarios. Well, I mean, like there are changes. Like I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is, for example, the power grid. There is, I believe, the power team is discussing creating a kind of unified power grid and having a single team managing the entire power grid. That would probably reduce the amount of load on individual people because you don't need so many people managing 3 different power grids or 3 or 4, like a number of power grids. If you have a single one. I believe the build team has been talking about how to optimize their build as well to manage. I don't want to speak on Ants and Taike's in their stead, but I believe they have been talking about how to what can be optimized to improve things. I think I don't know. I'm out of things to mention right now. My brain is giving a blank. But if somebody else wants to step in and help answer João.
What?
Are you saying something, Daniela?
I was gonna say something and then I read a message and got distracted. Okay, sorry, it's been a long day. Can you repeat, Joao, or can you summarize, Daniel? So because I heard you talk about the grid.
Yeah, I talked about the grid and about the builds, like optimizing the builds, and like Joao's question was about things that are being done better or that we're already planning to improve.
So I can talk briefly about the meeting that we have about power. The kind of joint work is more about supporting each other. Each grid has its own way of working and has been for the past years. Everybody knows like what they do, especially yellow grid and red grid are very self-sufficient. And where we're lacking volunteers this year, it's in the organization power team. But today, for example, one person from the team last year joined, they're coming back. They've already found another person to take over from one of the other teams. And the last year team is really open to transfer knowledge and get together and write a lot of things. So yeah, I think we're facing challenges that are common to the event and any event of this magnitude. You know, it's a community event. It depends on everybody putting their little, grain of salt. And I think one of the good things, for example, that came out of that meeting is that all of the grids are in communication since now, which is very early for the barrio grids, for example. And we're also in agreement of creating documentation and trying to put all of their knowledge that it's in everyone's brains into paper, put it in a doc, have it in the drive, being able to share it with each other and kind of support each other, the people that have more experience to talk about what has happened before and the people that are new and are really enthusiastic on taking on those roles, then, they have the energy for it. So I think, we have a lot of that energy, and I think it's just a lot of work that's gonna come. But I think also that's why we're all here. We love this. So, yeah.
Yeah, and actually one thing that could mention also is that if you look at the gate greeters channel, they're talking also about optimizing the road task to avoid burnout of gates and greeters. There's like each area has a lot of autonomy to go and optimize how they're doing things, and I think they are taking that opportunity this year to optimize things. I'll move on to the next question. When are volunteer roles opening, i.e. nomads, to give an idea of interest? So we will be deploying probably FIST. There is some conversation about another tool that was developed by Creme Brulee, I think, that is being considered, but I don't think they made a decision. It's probably going to be FIST this year, but we'll be having that open before we release tickets, because typically it's much harder to get people to sign up to shifts after they've bought the tickets. It's much easier to get them to do that like immediately after they've bought the tickets. Controversial proposal. How about a bit of paid promotion or marketing? I mean, we don't have budgets right now.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, let me mute that. We don't have any budget right now, so paid promotion marketing is a little bit more complicated. I don't think. I mean, I don't have any ideological opposition to that. Maybe some previous people had, but we don't have the budget for it right now unless somebody donates the budget to do it. So I think it's going to be more guerrilla marketing right now. Next question or statement, not sure where this fits, but Commonplay is going to discuss to downsize our usual camp activities and structures to have, among other reasons, more capacities of volunteering on NCA shifts. Maybe this is an interesting scenario for other barriers too. I mean, my reaction to this as long-time gardener is I absolutely will be talking to other people at the garden and saying we need to do a much bigger push to get people to sign up for NOG shift for NCA shifts. We like the organization needs help right now, so let's do this. And I think with a proper push from the camp leads, there will be more volunteering from the garden, which I think maybe is traditionally a camp that doesn't send as many volunteers for event shifts. and hopefully we can improve that. I have that intention certainly, and probably like maybe other camps, other barriers have that intention as well. That feels like worth highlighting. I'm sure the comms team would love to get paid. Oh, maybe. Other questions? I'm scrolling down. If you feel like you want to speak your question, feel free to raise your hand or just speak. Yeah, and the garden is also going to help by like supporting part of the power grid, as Julian mentions, but also all volunteers. I'm certainly going to push for that. Isn't no marketing one of the principles? I don't think no marketing is one of the Burning Man principles. It's got decommodification, which is maybe the closest one to no marketing, but that can be interpreted as no marketing, but I think that's open to interpretation.
Marketing should be allowed. Burning Man does a lot of marketing.
There you go. We just need to find the budget for it. Currently, do not. Ambassador type efforts. Yeah, I mean, maybe some of those people who are going to Borderland instead can be recruiters for next year's event. There's a lot of chat going on, but not a lot of those are questions. Okay. No questions. Anybody want to raise a hand? And oh, Ant, please type your question. Maybe I'd like to speak them. I want to start a podcast. Does anyone have experience? Yeah. Get in touch. I have experience starting a podcast. I'm happy to help. Get in touch with me. I'll happily have a chat about how to start a podcast. I have had a podcast before. Yeah, just ping me on Discord. I mean, on this ambassador thing, since there's no question, I'll just talk about that. Like, we are all ambassadors of the event at this point, and because there are no, we don't have existing mailing lists and so on. We need that, especially this year, to build the awareness of this new event. So whatever ideas you can come up with to get more people to be aware of it, like that's our marketing. Plus whatever the comms team comes up with. Uto, you want to speak?
Yes, there's multiple ways of doing this. Maybe it's also an idea of like for every person you bring on, you maybe get sort of like a point so that you sort of gamify it. Just like when you bring in new people in the company when they're looking for people. It's also a way of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I've just started a new job a couple of months ago, and I'm convincing everybody there to come to this event.
But yeah, also regarding marketing, I'm not really into it myself, but don't you have like customer acquisition costs? So you have to see like how much does the marketing cost and like how many people in the end does it bring in, let's say if you do marketing, to see if it's sort of like a worthwhile endeavor?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you do marketing. So there's, I don't want to get too technical, but there's, pay-per-click type marketing, or there's more sort of awareness campaigns type marketing, and paying people to do marketing can be helpful. But right now we don't have money to do it, so we can't do it anyway. Is it legal to buy the marketing emails from GNSL? I don't want to answer the legal question because Pepe has unmuted himself, so I'll let him answer.
Yeah, so there's nothing illegal in buying it, but as of right now, we don't have the funds, and it can create some friction while we're trying to figure out the other more critical assets like the container.
No, it's really legal because you have to give the permission to your data to be sold before it can be sold. So it's not legal.
Yeah, it's not a legality issue. What can happen, like if that was a consideration, then they will need to make an announcement that the data will need to be shared with a collaborator, partner company, which is us. For what reason? They will need to document a lot of what is the data being used for, by who, and then they will get an announcement where they can opt out or where they're required to opt in, and then it will happen. So it's not actually buying the database, but there can be a contractual reason for the data to be shared. But yes, it's not something we're exploring because it's very cumbersome and it creates a lot of risk, and it's a massive problem to implement.
Yeah, that's it. You can buy that they send an email by them to ask that you. It's what you say. They are selling it, or that they are selling it from there, not selling it to us so we can use it.
Correct.
Picking up the point that Sakolo just made, all we would need are some beautiful, some creative and beautiful flyers, and then give these to people we feel would be a good addition to the community. I believe there is currently a competition started by Comms to create a logo, and if you join the Comms channel and say like, oh, like, I'd like to design a flyer, I'd like to use a flyer, you probably will get some response there and like start conversations, and those flyers will appear somehow. Like in the 80s. Okay. I'll give it another minute, see if somebody comes up with more questions. Otherwise, we can end it. It's been about an hour and it's been about an hour. Someone have a question? Oh, there's one question. Romy? Romy, would you like to speak? We can't hear anything right now. I don't think they're muted, but somehow there's no sound. Oh, it's annoying. If you type a question, I can read it out. Maybe, so if you're in the same house, maybe use Kondo's laptop.
Romy's going to type the question.
Okay. In terms of using VM connections, we suggest this point while waiting for the question to be typed. Yeah, if you've got this connection, let's like connect them to the comms team and use them. We're not at VM events right now. We are talking to VM. Some of us are going to the ELS in April. Remy, on the Nowhere Euroburner Facebook group, some people say Nowhere 26 is going ahead using that name. Is this something we need to be concerned about? It would be better if they didn't say that, because it's not true. We cannot control what statements people make on Facebook or in other places. But it's not Nowhere 20. There's no Nowhere 26 event. There is an event yet to be named. Well, the poll will close tomorrow. And it's not Nowhere 26. So it's not ideal if they say that. And GNSL might have some thoughts about it. Do we have BM connections? I think Nowhere was not part of the official regional network. I think Nowhere had an official connection to BM. Pretty sure it did.
It did, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't think they were ignoring us. Can we still use all the Facebook groups? Pepe, would you like to take this one? Like the Nowhere Euroburners group?
What is the question? So I got distracted too.
So from Hans, can we still use all the Facebook groups, Euroburners, etc.? We should be in those groups. We should be in those groups telling people what's happening.
Yeah, the short answer is no, because those groups belong or were associated, unless they were community-led groups, which could be a different case. We need to look one by one. But if it's something that was created by and managed and controlled at some point by leadership of GNSL, then that's not something that we can use. We are releasing now, I was about to do it, a set of guidelines for communication channels on how to start the process of redirecting people into the new channels, and which are being created by the board of NCA. And then we can, and I know it's a hurdle, it's a hassle, but for cleanliness, for creating a new home that is completely clean, is part of the housekeeping that we need to do.
Michelle, you have something to add to this?
Yeah, I'm one of the many moderators on various burn groups. The Euroburners one in particular, which was mentioned, it isn't owned or run by Nowhere. There's a lot of Nowhere focus on it, but it's not actually run by Nowhere. It's used for all groups all over Europe. So
that's fine.
As I understand, yeah, we can post what we like on there as individuals. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Anything that is either community led, like someone created it and then it just kind of took legs, or anything that is part of a larger ecosystem, community based, and has not been used by or actively as part of advertisement or management by the previous organization, is fair game. If you have questions, shoot me a text and we can look at case by case and we can make the qualification there.
Joao has a question of what does it mean to be an official BM event? Are there pros and cons? Do we want that? And what would we need to become one? I can't answer that. Maybe somebody can. Michelle?
I can kind of answer that. Yes, there are pros and cons. So the pros are that, we get advertised on, we get a space on the BM website. We will be on there somewhere. From what I understand from talking to previous directors and things, the big pro is that should we have legal problems, sometimes they are able to help with legal advice and that sort of thing. We also get invited to the ELS and that sort of that side of things. We can also use the 10 principles and say we are an official Burning Man regional, which is important to some people and not important to others. So that, yeah, there are reasons why burns do it, and some burns discuss it and never go down that route. So yeah, it's a balance.
I have no idea what the timelines and requirements are for becoming a Burning Man affiliated or Burning Man regional. But we, so NCA, like some people from NCA have contacts with people at Burning Man, and we will be talking to them, and we may well try to obtain that status. Maybe before the event this July. I would be surprised if there was a cost to be an official BM event. That would seem like unhelpful. Okay. Any more questions?
I just say on the legal side of things, just bear in mind that they are based in America and we're not. So how I've heard, a variety of opinions on how helpful their legal advice is, but it is there.
It is
Michel,
definitely worth pursuing. So go on.
No, I was gonna ask if Michel, you are the one that seems to be certain that Nowhere was an official event. Do you know of any actual benefits that we've had for being an official event besides marketing, like any actual support or any direct positive influence or negative, like
Yes,
restrictions or whatever?
But then Paloma also confirmed on the chat that Nowhere has been an official regional for 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know the details because I haven't been involved as a director before or anything like that. But yes, I know that they have been useful and helpful in various circumstances to the people organising the event. Yes.
And Justin says they saved our asses with ticketing at least once. Whatever that means specifically. Probably a fun story. Any other questions? Give it another minute, and if there are no questions, then we can end it. And I won't take that question. Sorry. Quite interesting though. Okay. So great. Thank you very much for joining today. Like there was up to about 75 people in this call. That's amazing. Like we're still like, 5th of March. There's a lot of energy. It's amazing. I tend to be optimistic, but I'm very optimistic with everything that I see. And I look forward to continuing to see the momentum build up and selling tickets next week. All right. Take care, everybody, and feel free to continue the conversation on Discord. And if you have any questions, ask them there and ask them anywhere else you want, Discord, WhatsApp, Telegram, etc. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Where's the music? No music today.
Es por ahí, es guapo que te digan que era tu arete.
¿Listo?
Muy guapo.
Comprado esta juego porque eran diferentes.
¿Ah, sí?
Lo he comprado.
Muy bonita. Es muy guapo. Muy guapísimo. Muy so sexy.
Oh,
O sea, pero una... Vale, videollamada aquí. Espera, espera.